Welcome back to Discipleship. Today we're all on a Zoom call because, well, youth group isn't happening, so we're just gonna be doing this from here. And as you can see, the microphone's upside down. We got cool mic arms, so we have two of them. They're gonna be on the podcast soon, and so we'll have two microphones so that all four of us on the couch can more easy
Can I have one?
get better audio. Yes, you'll have one. You and Justin will share one, and me and Gabe will share one,
Whoa,
or whoever.
Yeah, I want my own. I want my own.
That's
I get my own. I'm
that's $100
special.
more. That's $200 more. So if you want to pay that, then all right.
Really?
So we're gonna go ahead and get started. What we're talking about today is, can women be pastors and should Christians get tattoos? And we're back. So we're gonna start with, should Christians get tattoos? Obviously you can, and that's a possibility, but should Christians get tattoos? So we've done a bit of studying on this from the Old Testament and Leviticus, and I'll go ahead and read the verse that that we're gonna be discussing. You shall not make any cuts on your body in mourning for the dead, nor make any tattoo marks on yourselves. I'm the Lord. Leviticus 19:28 AMP.
And also, I would like to say that in my Bible, it is ESV. I don't know what version you were reading, Sutter, but mine says, you shall not make any cuts on your bodies for the dead or tattoo yourself. I'm the Lord. Which is a little bit different, but I feel like mine's kind of more simple. It might be a slightly different version of what you have.
So I haven't eaten dinner, so I'm going to be eating a little bit through this. But
Sucker, come on, man.
But Will, do you want to start with your interpretation of that verse and we can discuss from there?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, it's pretty straightforward. You shall not make any cuts on your body for the dead, which I thought that was something they used to do in the older times. I'm not very well versed on it. But basically it's making a mark on yourself to honor someone that has died, and it's not something that's regularly practiced anymore. But the second part about or tattoo yourselves, which my Bible says, you shall not make any cuts on your bodies for the dead or tattoo yourselves, which that's basically pretty much saying don't tattoo yourself. I mean, and you can't look at that and say it's the Old Testament or whatever. I did have some New Testament things on that I'll get to a little bit later, but I still think that it's pretty straightforward what it says here. Just no tattooing, period.
Yeah, that's a pretty good interpretation of it. So Justin, do you want to give your interpretation of the verse, or
I
should we just go
mean,
ahead?
Will said you can't say that it's just like Old Testament thing, but I mean, like other Old Testament laws were like the wasn't it like the verse before something like don't eat meat with the blood still in it, which is like, first of all, why would you eat completely raw uncooked meat? But also, like, if you had to, like, that's fine. Like, now that was like the law back then, but like obviously stuff has changed now. That was before Christ died, and after Christ died the laws changed.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's not a should Christians get tattoos. It's more like is it like, what's the word?
You got this, Justin.
I
Yeah.
forgot. Here, guys, keep encouraging me. I'm trying to remember how to do English.
Is it biblical for Christians to get tattoos? Is it in accordance with God's word?
I guess it's more like,
what you're going for?
yes, you can. Just, is it necessary? No, obviously it's not necessary, but I think you can, unless, of course, like the tattoo is like satanic or
Yeah.
suggestive or like bad. If I think as long as you don't like get a obviously bad or just really bad tattoo or a lot of them, because when you have a lot of them, you don't look like a Christian. Because Normally when you have a lot of tattoos, you look like you have problems. And you
Yeah.
don't look like you're a Christian. So, but like just a couple I think is fine. Like if they're like a cross or a Bible verse or something like that, I think that's fine. No, it's not like obviously it's not necessary, but I think it's okay to get one or two, maybe
Yeah.
three,
All
not a
right. So
lot. As
yeah,
long as it's
so
not as long as it's not bad,
yeah.
because you have people with those weird tattoos that are
So
like,
as you said about the laws that are in that verse, Leviticus 19 is basically here's the beginning, the first verse, Leviticus 19:1, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say to them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. And then it gives a list of how they can be holy. Now, yes, he is speaking to the children of Israel in this sense, but later in the Bible, it's in the New Testament where God tells us that we need to be holy because God is holy. And so, just like we still use the Ten Commandments nowadays, because that's God's moral law he'll use to judge the world, just like we use that from the Old Testament, is this something we can also use from the Old Testament? I don't
But
know. That's what, yeah.
but Sutter, I know we're discussing the Old Testament right now with Leviticus 19:28. I found something in Corinthians that I thought would pertain to that. If you would flip to 1 Corinthians 6, 19 and 20, that
1
says,
Corinthians, let me see.
or do you
First
not know
Corinthians
that your
what?
body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you
It's
have from
first
God? You
First
are not your
Corinthians.
own, for you were brought with a price, for you were bought with a price. They glorified God in your body. And
1 Corinthians what?
one First Corinthians 6, 19 through 20. Oh, I
6:19.
sounded like an
Okay.
idiot when I said 1 Corinthians. First
No, it's
Corinthians.
fine.
I have like a one written down, so I'm thinking
119. Or do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought with a price, so glorify God in your body. So that's basically like kind of if you get a lot of tattoos and like
Yeah, that's actually, yeah.
a lot of like all the like you're covering your like most of your body in tattoos, that's not really um glorifying God in your body because even if it's like not bad, it just doesn't really look right.
yeah.
For one,
Well,
like if I if I saw someone on the street with like covered in tattoos, I wouldn't assume that they're a Christian.
yeah.
Hmm.
Also, like another thing is like if it's just like a small one or a singular one, especially if it's like a cross or like a verse, like that could start a conversation where you could like tell someone about Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Because
very good
it's
point.
like something that someone could just be like, "Hey, dude, why you have that?" And you could explain like what it means and what the verse is or something like that, and you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
tell them about Jesus.
Yeah. And I think really the thing here is it's not what you're saying with like one or two tattoos. I think what really goes into here, what we really need to go into here is not whether or not you can have one tattoo or two tattoos. It's whether you should have tattoos in general. I think if we just had that verse, Will, just First Corinthians 6:19, it would probably be you can probably get a tattoo or two, but then you got Leviticus, and they're talking about, don't make any tattoos on your body. So really,
Yeah.
we just have to figure out whether or not that is speaking towards all Christians, all people who want to be holy, like the Lord is holy. Where Jesus said, I think, let me see, let me find the Bible verse. Be holy. Let me find that real fast. Will, talk while I do this.
Okay. All right. But as far as Leviticus, what I think is, as Justin was saying, it did have some kind of strange things before that, like don't eat meat with blood in it. Um,
Yeah,
I don't think you like some of the things that are Old Testament that are kind of Mosaic, that are Mosaic law. I don't think you can take all of that literally because it was before Jesus came back. But
yeah,
I think that it still has a lot of good stuff. Like you could even say the Ten Commandments were Mosaic law, and I know we should definitely abide by those. Which I mean, I think those are very important. So I don't think you can necessarily say just because there are some things in the Old Testament that are in Mosaic law that they don't exactly make
Yeah.
sense to
Like
us
the reason it
modern
said
day.
you shouldn't eat meat with the blood still in it, it was like um it said that like the forgiveness, it says, where is it? The forgiveness of sin was like required by the shedding of blood.
Hmm.
So before Jesus died and shed his blood to save us, they had to do the sacrifices um to kind of like as like
So
the
they were
forgiveness
sorry.
of their sin. And like that's like why you couldn't eat kind of
And yeah,
like
well, I think a lot of things they're saying like I think what is saying about meat still having blood in it could mean like you don't eat raw animal. Like you wouldn't just go like it wouldn't be holy to go out in your backyard and shoot a
yeah.
squirrel and just like start eating it. I mean, that sounds very gross and
Well,
weird,
more like
Oh,
a
oh,
pig or
oh,
a
oh.
it just
cow or something
Major
like that.
update, major update. I found it, and this is actually crazy. It mentions Leviticus in the New Testament.
Okay.
really
All right, listen to this. First Peter 1:15, if you want to find that real fast.
First Peter,
This is the
well, Second
amplified.
Peter.
This is
First Peter 1:15.
Yep, this is the amplified version.
All right.
But like the Holy One who has called you, be holy yourselves in all your conduct. Be set apart from the world by your godly character and moral courage. Because it is written, you shall be holy, for I am holy. That's from Leviticus 11:44, 45, and 19:2. See, it's also talking about Leviticus here. So that puts a whole new light on things, seeing that Jesus was talking about Leviticus here. He was talking about
yeah.
these verses we're looking at. So that sheds a whole new light on this.
Yeah, wait, which Peter did you say it was?
First Peter 1:15 through 16.
115. All right, got it.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so
Verses
that's
8.
Jesus is saying, be holy, because it is written, you shall be holy, for I am holy. And then he gives us instructions on how to be holy in Leviticus, and Jesus references to that. So is he saying that that's how you can say, that's how you can be holy? And it says be set apart from the world. What do people in our world do today? I mean, they get tattoos, they get, they do all these
Yeah.
things. This is a worldly thing. This is not, Jesus didn't like go and get a tattoo. But I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying we need to discuss this a little further before we say yes or no. But this is interesting to see that Jesus referenced to
Yeah,
that.
and I can read my translation too. It's slightly different from yours, but it
Hmm.
says, "But as he who called you is holy, you also be holy in all your conduct, since it is written, you shall be holy, for I am holy." So I think I don't know, I think that's interesting. I mean, be holy in all your conduct, but the only thing about that is, we got to distinguish what holy is. I mean, be holy in all your conduct, but then
Yeah,
again,
like is getting a
there's
tattoo unholy?
yeah,
It's like, is
but
that like,
then again, I think it kind of says in Leviticus that it is unholy. I mean, so be holy on
They,
your conduct, and if getting a tattoo is unholy, then that wouldn't be in
so then it's
accordance with
also saying
Jesus's
like
will either.
don't eat raw meat?
well, look at this also. This is God giving them a law of things not to do. God also said that Christians should fast. And this was just something he said he should do. Might not have made sense to them at the time. Why would I just go, days without eating? Now it's proven that fasting actually kills cancer. It's a way you can get rid of
Yeah,
cancer. And so the same thing with eating raw meat, you can get really sick from that.
yeah,
So, I mean,
Well, there's
it
like a
could be in
lot.
that same manner.
Well, raw meat, obviously, there's a lot of like diseases. Like you don't know what was in that animal and it's uncooked. So like nothing was like none of like bacteria or anything that could be in there was killed. So obviously, like that's a problem.
Yeah,
yeah,
but you see, God like could be protecting them in the same sense of fasting, where it protects us also. So these things, if we just listen to God, we'd sort of, we'd be actually fine. I mean, you
Yeah,
look at this stuff, but
Okay,
just that easy.
it is looking like it is saying that it is looking like Jesus is saying that Leviticus is sort of telling us how to be holy.
well, I'm not seeing anything specifically that says fasting kills cancer. It's just that fasting may slow down cancer and can help prevent and treat cancer.
Well, no, so look, here's what fasting does. Cancer has to, feed off food in your body. You
Yeah.
feed yourself, you're feeding the cancer. You fast, and your body goes into a process after a few days of when it starts burning its fat, you start losing weight. And at the same time, you're not just losing weight, those cancer cells are starving because they have nothing to eat, and then they'll slowly die off. So it's not just slowing it down. If you fast for long enough, it's killing it completely. So if you
Well, if
only
you fast
had
long enough, you'll die too. So,
Yeah, I know. So you go to the point where you feed yourself enough. I mean, what? Jesus fasted 40 days.
can reduce or reverse symptoms of cancer, how it works, science
But
behind
also,
fasting and cancer.
like the internet's biased
Um,
because what they want you to do is, doctors want to make money. So they're not going to tell you, oh, you just don't have to eat and it'll help a lot. They're going to try and get you to
true.
do that. Same thing with snake bites. Did you know that with a snake bite, all you have to do is shock it? When you
Oh,
get a
really?
snake bite,
Shock a snake bite.
there's missionaries who carry stun guns in the jungle when they get bit by a poisonous
Why would you
snake.
have to just shock the, are you saying shock the bite?
Yeah, you shock the bite. It neutralizes the venom. I have where is it? I have a
But
little clicker
if
here.
like but if the venom is like enough or good enough, like what it is, it's like putting it into your blood. So like
You have to do it
if
fast.
if you do it really fast, maybe, but like you have to be really fast because then
Yeah.
it as soon as like enters the blood, it gets circulated around and everywhere and stuff like
Yeah, but
that.
a
But
small amount would
Also,
be, huh?
Sutter, we've talked about tattoos for about 15 minutes now. Do you want to shift topic
Yeah,
to
yeah, we can shift topics.
women and
I
tattoos
think
in
yeah,
a second?
I think it's one of those things where as a Christian, that person will have to decide. But I
yeah,
personally think that Jesus is talking about here, he's saying you should be holy, and then he references to Leviticus. If I said you should if I said you should read a book and then I reference to the Bible, then I'm implying you should read your Bible. And Jesus, in the same way,
Yeah.
says you should be holy. And then he references to a guidebook of how to be holy. So I personally think that he's talking about these are things you shouldn't do. And also, this is a list of smart things you shouldn't do. Eating raw meat. It's not a great idea. Getting a tattoo. And Jesus was a spotless lamb, and he said, and our bodies are supposed to be holy temples of the Lord, spotless, we're clean. And I see if you already have a tattoo, you got one before you're a Christian, that's fine. But like getting a tattoo, putting a mark on your body, that's not, even if it is a cross or something, I think it's for them to decide. It's for the Christian to
it's
decide.
yeah, it's really like is it wrong? Um, as long as it's not like a bad tattoo, it's not wrong, but um, it's also not saying like not saying you should do it. Like
Yeah.
it's like I guess it's
It's
kind
like
of
what
like
Paul says in
recommending.
Romans.
It's not necessary at all. Like I guess it's kind of saying like if like it's kind of implying it's better if you don't, but it's not wrong to do it within like some boundaries.
Yeah. I
But
think it's like what Paul says in Romans, he's talking about things that are minor topics. He says, if the Bible's not clear on something, then that's for the Christian to decide, and then they sort of keep it to themselves so that they don't cause arguments in the church and that they don't become a stumbling block for other Christians.
also,
Yeah.
um, personally, I believe that. I mean, I don't want to disagree with you guys, but I don't think it you should get a tattoo at all.
Yeah.
As you were saying, Sutter, I do agree that if you got one before you're a Christian, that it's not some sort of thing that can really keep you from being a Christian or whatever. Because we all sin and go against what God wants us to do. But I just still don't think it's a good thing to do. Because it says it pretty clearly in Leviticus, you shall not tattoo yourself, or forget exactly the
Yeah,
wording, but it says very clearly you
the
shouldn't
struggle
Yeah,
do
it's
it.
just like another like that's just
Is
So
it applying to us now? I believe it is. I think it'd be
yeah,
good. I think
I mean, it's still
definitely.
like a kind of a good recommendation.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
but I think it's for like we'd have to go into this deeper. We don't have the time to keep going into this, but
Yeah,
I
we've been
think
talking about this for a long time,
so.
and it's
Let's move on to the
kind of
next.
subjective.
Let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is, can women be pastors? So I did a live stream for about the Bible app, because they released there's 4 women pastors on the Bible app who do the verse of the day. So can
Sutter,
women? Yeah.
I watched that live stream.
Oh, you did? Very, very,
I
very
did.
good. So, can women be pastors? Justin, would you like to open us, or you want Will to open us? Or I can open us if.
Uh, I'll go second.
All
I
right.
need like a couple seconds.
Let me read the verse we're going to be going off of first. This is First Timothy 2, 9 through 12. In like manner, also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which becometh women of professing godliness. That's talking about how women should dress. We can get into that a little later, but here's the part of the verse we're focusing on. With good works. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. First Timothy 2, 9 through 12 KJV. So, who wants to go first? Will, you want to go first, or Justin? Either one.
It says definition of usurp is to take a position of power or importance illegally or by force.
Yeah.
That's
So
like,
that's like a pastor.
yeah, but like it's not, I don't think it's not saying women can't like lead or like teach
Yeah.
in church.
Yeah,
Um,
they can teach, like,
Yeah,
Sunday school
like there's
classes and
plenty
stuff.
of
I mean,
like instances in the Bible where women go out and they like teach,
yeah.
they talk to others about Jesus. Like
Yeah,
there
evangelism, that's
was
not.
like
Yeah.
prophetesses, women who like just went out and like basically they preached, but that like this is like within the church here. Um
So, yeah, let's go
like
into
they can
it
like
with
it's
this
not,
mindset.
it isn't saying that they can't teach or any of that. They can teach in church. It's more like pastor as in like the head of the church. Like the pastor is the head of the church, and it's like saying women shouldn't be like heads of the church, like completely like in kind of like leading the church. Like they
In a
can
power position.
get in a power position.
Yeah, and
They can
even like being a an assistant pastor or something like that is still,
like
even the title. It's a title. Pastor is a title, and that's I think it's a
like
title.
they
But
can teach, and like there's plenty of women out there who are great teachers, and they're great at teaching others about Jesus, and they're just like really good at that, and they lead a lot of people to Jesus. Um but it's like they're not in that position of like power over the church. Like they're not in control of the church.
yeah. So before we discuss this any further, let's go into it with this mindset. So with the Corinthian church, what was going on at this time was before Christ came and they had heard about Jesus. Women were treated horribly. They were almost treated like slaves. They weren't allowed to leave the home. Weren't allowed to have anybody in their quarters. They had to stay in their quarters. They weren't allowed to do a lot of things. They had to cover their faces, and their hair and everything. They could not be. They weren't invited to anything. So when what happened with
Sounds
the
like
Corinthian?
a different religion.
Yeah, it was a different religion. That's not Christianity.
Yeah.
When
Wait, Sutter, are we on 14 35 through 45?
which one? We're in First Timothy 2, 9 through 12.
First Timothy.
Oh, we're in Timothy now? Then why are we
Yes.
talking about the
Yeah.
Corinthian church?
We're also talking about this is who he was. I'm talking
Like
Oh, okay.
about.
All right. Yeah, all right. I got it. Sorry.
You can go to First Corinthians 14:34 to read about this. I'll read that real fast.
Yeah,
But they
First
I had
but
that
they
one.
should submit and not have authority over man, being pastors, but be in silence. You know. And so that's
I
the
think that's
Corinthian.
kind of interesting.
I mean, I think what it was saying is like,
Well, hold on. Let me just let us go into this let us go into it with this mindset before we
this is
discuss it
First
any further.
Corinthians, what now?
1 Corinthians 14:34.
14,
So
14,
what's going on
34,
with the
35.
Corinthian church is that the women have just been told that because of Christ, they're not worth nothing. They're not worthless. And they have a purpose. They have a role in the church. So they step up to that. They want to take their purpose. They're excited about this. They get a little too excited and they start to take over the church. They start to be like the pastor. They start to be leading and the men stop leading. So Paul writes to them about this. So
Yeah, he's like addressing specifically this
yeah.
church.
And I think he's talking about positions of leading because women, spiritually, women and men are equal. It's spiritually they are equal. Physically and in the church, men and women are not equal. That is just how it is. Men are the pastors, they're the leaders of the church. How it's set up is God is above man. Okay. Man reflects God, women reflects man reflecting God. That's how God has set it up in nature. This is not just something that we've done. This is something that God's done. Not to say that women aren't important. Women are their role in the church is to raise the next generation of pastors. Paul literally says, without you guys, we don't have a good next generation of pastors. So, like even one guy, G. Campbell Morgan said, the greatest preacher in my family was my mom. Even though she could not preach, I could. She showed him the Bible. He said he'd preach Bible stories that his mom taught him. And so, that's their role. Not to say that they're not important, but they are under the man. That's one of the curses from the fall. So going into it with that mindset, Justin, you want to continue on 1 Corinthians.
Can I get a
14.
chance to speak in a second after he's done?
I don't
Yeah.
remember where was I exactly?
Do you want to think about? Do you want Will just go ahead and then you can
Yeah,
come back into it?
Yeah, Will, go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Will.
Well, I think it's very clear what he says in 1 Corinthians 14, 34 and 35. He's basically saying the women shall keep silent in the churches, for they are not permitted to speak, but should be in submission, as the law also says.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, y'all.
And
You're right, Will. I didn't read the verse. I had this mixed up. I read one of my notes. Yeah, you're right. The verse said, "Let your women keep silence in churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law." Sorry, I read one of my notes.
Sutter, are you trying to add your notes in
Sutter's
as part
trying
of
to
the
like
Bible?
twist.
He's trying to
Whoa.
edit
Here,
the Bible a
look
little
how
bit.
I don't know if you can see it, but in my notes, let me see where this is. It says 1 Corinthians right here, and I read what was above it instead of reading what was below it. So it was just an honest mistake. All right, go ahead, Will. Continue.
Sutter, or are you trying to?
Anyways,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Sutter.
I know.
Anyways, it says, "For they are not permitted to speak, but for they should be in submission," as the law also says. And I think the law he's referring to here is Genesis 3:16. Hold on a second, let me get that
Genesis 3:16, guys.
Not John 3:16.
Genesis. Whoa.
To the woman he said, "I will surely multiply your pain in childbearing, and pain you shall bring forth children. You shall desire to be contrary to your husband, but he shall rule over you." So, in saying that he shall rule over you, and what it says in Corinthians, as the law also says, I think that he's saying women shouldn't have any power positions. I mean, because if it says in Genesis, man shall rule over you, then that's kind of saying you shouldn't be in a power position in the church.
Yeah. And that's one of the curses, like you showed, Will, in the Genesis 3:16.
Yeah.
That is one of the curses.
Yeah. So it's just not that they can't teach, just that they can't be in the power position.
And John MacArthur said, pastor is a role that, this isn't a direct quote. This is just from listening to 2 hours of his sermons. He basically said, pastor is a leadership role in the church. It's not permitted for women to teach, prophesy, or pastor the church congregation in the big congregation, everybody coming together, Sunday morning, that sort of thing. Women are not permitted to do that. But in Sunday school, stuff like that, women are permitted to teach. They can teach other people. It's not that they can't teach. It's just that they cannot be the ones who are teaching over the man.
Yeah.
And like there was a mission.
Go
Huh?
ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say there's a missionary, Elizabeth Elliot. After her husband was martyred, she was the only other person who spoke the language of the Native American, the tribes that were there. And so what she did was she got one of the guys that was a Christian and taught him the sermons for him to preach every Sunday because she wasn't allowed to. And I was like, that is a good godly Christian woman who knows what she can and can't do, and she finds a way. It's Will versus Justin, because I know you two like to be versus each other quite often.
Ooh,
Uh,
ooh, you're
so
going down.
You're
and
going
it's also
down,
to
bro.
endorse. I'm going to give you an evolutionary theory, and your job is to try your best to refute that theory. Raise your hand if you think you have the answer. You have to raise your emoji hand. Go, go, go. You have to raise
Oh,
your
no,
emoji.
wait, I raised it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Will got it.
Where is it?
Justin did the clapping. Justin did the
Where is
clapping. Yeah.
What?
Stop, you're blowing it up. Stop. You're blowing it up, and I'm losing connection when you do that. All right,
Anyways,
William, go
it?
ahead. William, go ahead.
Oh, it's right.
First
That
of
was
all,
so funny. All right, go
First
ahead,
of
It's
Will.
right there.
That was hilarious.
first of all, we look. All right, let me try that one more time. First of all, when we look at the earth and every single living being created on earth, I think it's almost common sense that we were not just there by chance. There has to be something in us that made us come to be. We have a spirit inside of us. There's just it's common sense that we have a purpose on earth. And evolutionists in the theory of evolution believes that you're just somehow created, you have no purpose, you should just die and maybe spread on your genetics, and then you're just dust. However, when we look at the entire planet, everything on Earth, you can look at a painting, and it always has an artist's signature. But I feel like Earth is just it's like a painting, but it just doesn't have a signature. I think everything on Earth had to come to be by God. I mean,
Yeah, if there's a painting, there's a painter. If there's a building, there's a builder. And if there's a creation, there's a creator.
Yep.
I was gonna say the universe kind of is God's signature.
Yeah. William, yeah, you're absolutely correct. That is a good refutation of evolution. But the question was about the Big Bang, and that does refute the Big Bang. But it also,
The big boom.
I'd say the easiest way to refute the Big Bang, what I was looking for is, where did the Big Bang come from? Dirt swirling is what they say,
Particles.
and it collided.
It was like particle collision, everything.
Where did the particles come from?
Yeah,
I know, like
also a good debate.
everything has to have an origin, or there has to have been something that did not have a beginning.
Yeah. So it's
at some point.
It's like
because
either they believe in the beginning swirling dirt, and we believe in the beginning God. Which one sounds more,
Yeah,
sane?
you can't. Well, you can't say that dirt created time.
Yeah, I know. And where did the laws come from? Where did time and space come from?
God created time, God created space. Dirt did not create itself.
He even in the beginning, which is there you have time, God created, there's matter, the heavens and the earth. That's time, the heavens, which is time and space.
Dirt, particles itself take up space.
Yeah, where'd the space come from? It's just there.
Exactly. The dirt itself would have had to have created the space for itself to exist, basically.
Yeah.
But
I think that actually turned into a better discussion.
Outside of time, he does not. He is everywhere. He's everywhere, but he does not occupy space like this mouse or something. He's outside of time. He created space. So
yeah, it's like if I set the time on my computer to 1 o'clock at night right now, is it suddenly going to get dark out here? No, I'm not affected by the time my computer has. In the same way, God is not affected by the time we have. God is not affected by the laws that we are affected by.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that
So we
actually
should try. I'm gonna set the time on my phone right
okay.
now
All right.
to let's say sunrise.
Alrighty.
I don't even know how to do that.
Oh my gosh, it just got bright. So that actually turned into a better discussion. So, all right. Well,
Yep.
thank y'all for listening to this episode of the Discipleship Podcast, Season 3, Episode 6 with Justin, Sutter, and Will. And please join us next week and join us, go on to Proverbs Guy Ministries tomorrow night at what time? Did they tell me? 6:30, I believe. Again, yeah, go on to Proverbs Guy Ministries tomorrow night at 6:30. I'll be on there hosting
Wait,
another
what was
podcast.
it? What is it called again? Sutter, say it slowly. You kind of ran it together.
Proverbs Guys Ministries. I'll leave a link in the
Proverbs,
description.
guys. Awesome. Link
Yep.
down here.
Yeah, go check them out. We're partnering with them in some ministry stuff, and yeah. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope it's been enlightening for y'all. It's been a great night. It's one of our best discussions. Got a lot of stuff
It's also
done.
really long, so I don't know how long Sutter is going to edit this to be, but however long it is, if you made it to the end here, you deserve an
Congrats.
award.
Yeah, you do. All right.
Also,
Yep. So
please like and subscribe if you've made it all the way to the end.
Yes, please
We really
click
appreciate everyone.
and
We
subscribe.
really appreciate everyone who watches our content, and one like and one subscription means a lot to us, and it really shows us that our message is being reached.
Exactly.
And
Liking
Oh,
it,
and for
it says
people who didn't know, I never formally announced this. So you've known me and Justin as hosts of this podcast, but what you didn't know is that we have added 2 new co-hosts, and their names are William Harrell and Gabriel Evans. Oh yes, hand raiser. Yes.
Where's the
Yes.
banner?
Oh, the banner. It's right behind me. I have it in the box. We have a big banner we're gonna put behind the couch now. And yes, so
Oh,
Will,
yeah.
congrats. Welcome, Will. Very
Yeah,
excited
Will, you
to
made it on the banner. You're on the banner.
you're on the banner, Will. You guys are our co-hosts now, and I'm very excited to have y'all on.
Me too.
Yeah, we're glad you're on. We're excited to keep going. All right. So thank you for watching this episode of the Discipleship Podcast. Be sure to check out our website, the discipleshippodcast.buzzsprout.com, and also check out 777discipleship.com. That'll be up in a few days once we get it working again. Keeps failing over and over again, but we'll get it working. Like, subscribe, share this video with someone who you think might like it. Thank you for watching this episode of the Discipleship Podcast.
Don't sin.